Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have the Midas touch? Everything they do prospers. Meanwhile, others are stuck in endless cycles of failure and frustration. Is it luck, destiny, or is there something deeper behind it all? This question isn't new. It has echoed through the centuries, from ancient philosophers to modern thinkers. And the answer lies in the universal laws and their immutable principles that govern reality. What you're about to discover could completely change your perspective on life. This might be the most important video of your life if you truly apply everything you'll learn here. So, don't miss this opportunity to change your reality and watch until the end. The 7 universal laws are not just philosophical concepts or abstract theories. They are fundamental principles that govern everything around us. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel Vibrating Prosperity so you don't miss valuable content like this. In this video, you'll finally understand that the power to transform your reality is within your reach. And more importantly, you can start making this change right now. These laws are essential tools for your personal and spiritual growth, helping you build a more abundant and fulfilling life. Get ready to expand your mind and never see the world the same way again. The 7 universal laws are fundamental forces that govern everything that exists. From the smallest subatomic particle to the greatest empire ever built, these laws are always in action, whether we perceive them or not. As Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, said, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Hill spent years studying the habits and mindsets of millionaires like Andrew Carnegie and Henry Ford and noticed that they all followed certain mental and behavioral patterns. These patterns, he discovered, were aligned with the universal laws. Another great name in New Thought, Wallace D. Wattles, in his classic The Science of Getting Rich, revealed that prosperity is not an accident, but the result of following an exact method. He claimed that wealth is a spiritual science, based on the understanding that the universe is abundant and that we can access this abundance when we align ourselves with the laws that govern it. Wattles taught that the first step toward prosperity is cultivating a mindset of gratitude and faith, as these elevated emotions connect us to the creative energy of the universe. And who could forget Rhonda Byrne, whose bestseller, The Secret, popularized the idea that our thoughts shape reality? Drawing on ancient teachings and the work of New Thought pioneers, Rhonda explained that the law of attraction is one of the most tangible manifestations of these universal laws. She illustrated this with real-life stories of people who transformed their lives by changing their thought patterns. For example, she mentions the case of Jack Canfield, co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, who used visualization and positive affirmations to overcome financial difficulties and achieve literary success. But where do these ideas come from? The answer lies in the ancient schools of Hermetic thought. In the mysterious book, The KYBALION, written by unknown authors, universal principles were recorded centuries ago. This text, which many consider the foundation of occult and spiritual thought, presents 7 Hermetic principles that explain how the universe works. Among them are the universal mind, which states that all is mind, and vibration, which teaches that everything in the universe is in constant motion and resonance. These principles are not just theoretical. They have been applied by spiritual leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries throughout history. But what is the origin of the KYBALION? Although its author is unknown, it is believed that the text was compiled by scholars from ancient Egypt, where the legendary Hermes Trismegistus, considered the father of Hermeticism, lived and taught. Hermes was seen as an intermediary between the divine and the human, and his teachings were kept in sacred temples. For centuries, these ideas remained hidden, passed down only to initiates in secret schools. It wasn't until the early 20th century that the KYBALION was published, bringing these principles to light for a wider audience. The Hermetic principles contained in the KYBALION are universal and timeless. They have transcended generations because they reflect fundamental truths about the nature of reality. For example, the idea that all is mind resonates with discoveries in modern quantum physics, which demonstrate that consciousness directly influences matter. Similarly, the principle of vibration finds parallels in studies on frequencies and energies that permeate the universe. For instance, Florence Scovel Shinn, author of The Game of Life and How to Play It, showed how the language and words we use can influence our reality. She told the story of a woman who, by constantly repeating that she never had enough money, ended up attracting exactly that reality. When the woman changed her language to expressions of abundance, her financial situation began to improve. This is a practical example of how the law of correspondence, as above, so below, works in everyday life. In this video, you'll understand how each of these laws operates in your life, and, more importantly, how to apply them in your daily routine to transform your results. Because whether you realize it or not, these laws are always in action, all the time. The only difference between those who prosper and those who fail is the knowledge and conscious application of these principles. Get ready, because by the end of this video, you'll never see the world the same way again. But before we dive into the 7 laws, we need to start with the most fundamental principle of all, the foundation of all reality, the key to understanding how the universe works. And that's what we're going to explore now. Chapter 1. The Principle of Mentalism. Everything starts in the mind. Imagine that your mind is a vast ocean. Every thought you have is like a stone thrown into the water. Small or large, it creates ripples that spread in all directions. Now, think about your life. Everything around you began at some point as a thought. This is the first and most important Hermetic principle, the principle of mentalism. It states that all is mind, the universe is mental. This means that the reality we live in is not fixed. It is shaped by consciousness. But don't just take my word for it. Think about the great innovators of humanity. Nikola Tesla, for example, used to visualize his inventions completely before building them. He would see his machines functioning, mentally adjust each part, and only then bring them into the physical world. Tesla understood that the mind is the primary field where everything begins. Similarly, Steve Jobs, when creating Apple, had a clear vision of what he wanted to bring to the world, even before any computer was assembled. He didn't just imagine technological products, but also the human experience they would provide. These examples show how the power of thought can transform abstract ideas into tangible realities. Another fascinating example is Jim Carrey, the famous Hollywood actor. Before being recognized, he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered. He dated it 5 years into the future and kept it in his wallet. Every day, he looked at it and believed he would be paid that amount. 5 years. Later, he received exactly that sum for the movie Dumb and Dumber. This is no coincidence. It's the mentalism principle in action. Jim Carrey understood that by feeding his mind with clear images and firm beliefs, he was programming his reality to manifest what he desired. The same happens with you. Everything you desire, success, money, health, happiness, must first be created in your mind. But here's the problem. Most people don't realize they're already using this law against themselves. Think about that friend who's always complaining that nothing ever works out for them. Notice how their life reflects that belief. They project a mental pattern of failure and receive failure in return. Now, look at successful people. They think differently. They believe anything is possible. And that belief shapes their reality. But how do you change that? How do you train your mind to create a better reality? Here are 3 simple but powerful practices. Observe your thoughts. For a day, pay attention to what you say to yourself. Are your thoughts filled with doubt and limitation, or confidence and possibility? For example, when you face a challenge, does your mind automatically say, "This is impossible," or "I can learn from this." Awareness is the first step to changing your mental reality. Reprogram your mind. Whenever you notice a negative thought, consciously replace it with a positive one. For example, swap "I can never do it" with "I am learning and improving" every day. This process of mental reprogramming was extensively explored by Joseph Murphy, author of The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. He taught that our subconscious beliefs are like computer programs. They can be rewritten with practice and intention. Visualize with emotion. Before sleeping, close your eyes and imagine yourself living the life of your dreams. But it's not enough to just see it. Feel the emotion of having already achieved it. This sends a powerful signal to the universe. Florence Scovel Shinn, in The Game of Life and How to Play It, explained that emotion is the fuel that powers our thoughts. When you combine visualization with intense feelings of gratitude and certainty, you accelerate the manifestation of your desires. Science also supports this principle. Dr. Joe Dispenza, author of You Can Change Your DNA, demonstrated that the brain doesn't distinguish between a real experience and an intensely visualized mental experience. In other words, when you vividly imagine something with clarity and emotion, your brain activates the same neural circuits as if it were already happening. This explains why elite athletes use visualization techniques to improve performance. They mentally practice before competing, conditioning their body and mind to achieve extraordinary results. Now, you might be wondering, if everything starts in the mind, why do some people who think positively still face difficulties? The answer lies in the next principle, because what you think internally directly reflects what happens externally. And that's what we're going to explore now, the principle of correspondence. Chapter 2. The Principle of Correspondence, the Mirror of Reality. Have you ever noticed how certain patterns repeat in your life? Maybe you always attract the same type of relationship. Or perhaps your financial problems seem to never change, even when you switch jobs. This is no coincidence. The second Hermetic law, the principle of correspondence, explains why. It states that, as above, so below, as within, so without. This principle reveals a profound truth. The external world is merely a reflection of your internal world. Think of a mirror. If you smile, it reflects a smile. If you frown, it reflects a tense expression. But here's the catch. Most people try to change the image in the mirror without first changing the expression on their own face. They seek external solutions, new jobs, new partners, new cities, without realizing that the real issue lies within them. This principle is so powerful that even great thinkers of the New Thought movement, like James Allen, author of As a Man Thinketh, claimed that a man's environment is a mirror of his mind. In other words, your outer life is a direct result of what's happening inside you. Allen taught that thoughts are seeds and circumstances are the harvest. If you plant thoughts of scarcity, you'll reap poverty. If you plant thoughts of abundance, you'll reap prosperity. But how does this work in practice? Let's analyze a real-life example. Bob Proctor, one of the greatest personal development experts and mentored by Napoleon Hill, always said that subconscious beliefs determine a person's life outcomes. If someone internally believes they're not good with money, that pattern will be reflected in their financial life no matter how much they earn. The person might even get a raise or win the lottery, but soon they'll find a way to lose that money because their internal identity still reflects scarcity. This behavior is a direct reflection of the principle of correspondence. Now imagine the opposite. People who have an internal pattern of abundance can thrive regardless of circumstances. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. If they lose everything, they can rebuild because their internal reality is already programmed for success. A classic example is Walt Disney, who faced bankruptcies and rejections before building one of the largest entertainment empires in the world. His internal vision of magic and creativity was projected into the physical world, transforming his imagination into reality. If you want to change your life, you first need to change your self-perception. Here are 3 practical steps to apply this principle. Analyze your current life. What's working? What isn't? Ask yourself, what is this situation reflecting about my internal beliefs? For example, if you're constantly surrounded by negative people, this could be a reflection of your own negative emotions or thoughts. If your health is compromised, ask yourself, what mental or emotional habits am I feeding that might be contributing to this? Change your internal perception. If your financial life is chaotic, for instance, ask yourself, what beliefs about money do I carry within me? Do I truly believe I deserve prosperity? Neville Goddard, one of the masters of New Thought, taught that imagination is more powerful than objective reality. He said, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and live in it now. When you change your internal perception, the external world begins to align with that new reality. Act as if it's already true. If you want more success, start behaving like a successful person. This doesn't mean spending money you don't have, but adopting the mindset, habits, and posture of someone who has already achieved what you desire. Earl Nightingale, author of The Strangest Secret, explained that success is progressive. When you act as if you're already successful, you attract the opportunities and connections that match that vibration. Quantum physics reinforces this idea. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrated that simply observing a particle alters its behavior. This means that consciousness directly influences reality. If the way we look at the world changes the world, imagine what happens when we change the way we look at ourselves. This scientific discovery echoes the ancient teachings of the principle of correspondence, showing that we are co-creators of our reality. Now, if everything around us is a reflection of who we are inside, a deeper question arises. What happens when we realize that this energy has a frequency? That everything in the universe vibrates at different levels? The answer lies in the next law, the principle of vibration. Chapter 3. The Principle of Vibration. Everything is energy. Imagine you walk into a room and without anyone saying a word, you feel that something is off. The air feels heavy. The energy of the place doesn't sit well with you. Now, on the flip side, think about the moment you met someone who seemed to radiate light, an energy so positive that it instantly made you feel happier. This isn't mysticism, it's science. The third Hermetic law, the principle of vibration, states that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This means that everything in the universe, including you, is made of energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your thoughts, emotions, words, and even your physical body have a specific vibration, and this vibration directly affects your life. Think of a radio. If you want to listen to a specific station, you need to tune into the right frequency. If you're out of sync, you won't receive the signal. Similarly, your vibration determines what you attract. As Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich, your thoughts are vibrations that affect your destiny. People who constantly complain and expect the worst emit a low vibration, and the universe responds with more problems. Meanwhile, those who cultivate gratitude and positive thinking attract more favorable situations, and this can be proven. Scientist Dr. Masaru Emoto conducted fascinating experiments with water molecules, exposing them to different words and emotions. When exposed to words like love and gratitude, the molecules formed beautiful, harmonious patterns. When exposed to words like hate and fear, they became distorted and chaotic. Now think, if words and emotions can affect the structure of water, imagine what they do to you, given that your body is 70% water. These experiments show that our emotions and thoughts have a direct impact on the energy around us, and consequently, on our reality. Now, an important point, vibration isn't just about positive thinking, it's about emotion. If you say, "I am rich," while internally feeling fear and scarcity, your actual vibration isn't one of prosperity, but of fear. What matters isn't what you say, but what you feel. As Florence Scovel Shinn, author of The IE, Game of Life and How to Play It, taught, the subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between truth and imagination. It accepts everything as real. Therefore, to raise your vibration, you need to feel the emotion of what you want to manifest. So, how do you authentically raise your vibration? Here are 3 fundamental steps. Adjust your internal dialogue. Every time you say, "My life is a mess," you're tuning into that frequency. Change it to, "My life is improving every day." Louise Hay, a pioneer of the self-help movement, affirmed that our words create our reality. She taught that repeating positive affirmations like "I deserve love and abundance" can reprogram the subconscious mind and raise your vibration. Feel true gratitude. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrations that exist, but it needs to be felt, not just spoken. Think of something that genuinely makes you feel grateful and stay in that emotion. Rhonda Byrne, in The Secret, emphasized that gratitude is the key to accessing universal abundance. When you feel grateful for what you already have, you open space to receive even more. Take care of your body. Food, exercise, and even the music you listen to affect your vibration. Choose stimuli that elevate your energy. For example, fresh and natural foods vibrate at a higher frequency than processed foods. Similarly, music that inspires and energizes you helps raise your vibration. Deepak Chopra, author of The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, emphasizes that the body is also a reflection of the mind and soul. When we take care of it, we align our energy with the universal flow. Now, here's a secret few talk about. Raising your vibration doesn't eliminate challenges. It changes your response to them. When you raise your vibration, problems don't disappear, but your perspective on them shifts. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. As Albert Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. Raising your vibration means expanding your awareness, and in doing so, finding solutions that were previously invisible. So, the big question is, if everything vibrates, why do extremes exist? Why is there love and hate, success and failure? How do we understand the opposites in life? The answer lies in the next law, the principle of polarity. Chapter 4. The Principle of Polarity, the 2 sides of the same coin. Have you ever noticed how life seems to be full of opposites? Light and darkness, heat and cold, love and hate, success and failure. Sometimes you can be at your peak and suddenly everything seems to fall apart. But are these forces really separate? The principle of polarity states that everything has 2 poles, everything has its opposite, but these opposites are merely extremes of the same thing. Think of a thermometer. Where does cold end and heat begin? There's no exact point. They're just variations in temperature. The same happens with everything in life. Fear and courage, for example, are not separate forces. They are the same feeling at different degrees. This is powerful because it means you can transform any emotional state simply by shifting your position on the polarity scale. Let's look at a real-life example. Thomas Edison, one of history's greatest inventors, failed more than 1,000 times before inventing the electric light bulb. But he never saw those failures as an end point. He understood that failure and success are opposite poles of the same thing, and that if he persisted, his defeat would transform into victory. When May asked about his failures, he responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset demonstrates mastery of the principle of polarity. He knew that every seemingly negative step brought him closer to success. Now, how can you apply this law to change your life? Identify where you are on the scale. If you feel fear, understand that courage is at the other end. If you're sad, know that happiness is just a shift in perspective. As James Allen taught, you are today where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. By recognizing where you are, you gain the power to choose your next step. Consciously move toward the other pole. Make small changes. If you're unmotivated, take a simple action that brings you closer to motivation. If you feel hatred, practice forgiveness, even if it's just a little at a time. Neville Goddard, one of the great masters of New Thought, taught that imagination is the key to changing your reality. He said, "Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and live in it now." By visualizing and feeling the desired state, you begin moving in the right direction. Use repetition to reinforce the change. Just like a muscle, your mind strengthens with practice. If you keep directing your energy toward the positive side over time, that change will become natural. Earl Nightingale, in The Strangest Secret, explained that success is progressive. Small, consistent actions create big transformations over time. For example, if you want to overcome the fear of public speaking, start practicing with close friends. Over time, that fear will diminish and turn into confidence. Neuroscience reinforces this idea. Studies show that the brain can be rewired through neuroplasticity. In other words, mental patterns can be consciously altered. If you train your mind to see opportunities where you once saw failures, over time, that will become automatic. Dr. Joe Dispenza, author of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, explains that our thoughts and emotions create specific neural networks. When we change our perception, we are literally reshaping our brain. The lesson here is clear. You have the power to transform any situation. It all depends on how you choose to view the poles of your life. As Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary founder of Hermeticism, said, "As above, so below." This phrase encapsulates the essence of the principle of polarity. Everything is connected, and opposites are complementary aspects of the same reality. But if everything has an opposite, why do some people seem to live endless cycles of highs and lows? Why do we sometimes feel stuck in repetitive patterns? The answer lies in the next law, the principle of rhythm. Chapter 5. The Principle of Rhythm. The Invisible Cycles of Life. Have you ever noticed how life follows a flow? There are moments of growth and moments of decline, days full of energy and days of exhaustion, phases of prosperity and periods of difficulty. This is no coincidence. It's the action of one of the most powerful laws of the universe, the principle of rhythm. This law states that everything has a flow and ebb. Everything moves like a pendulum. Rhythm compensates. Observe nature. Day gives way to night. The seasons follow a predictable cycle. The tides rise and fall, always obeying a natural rhythm. And similarly, our lives are also governed by this principle. As Hermes Trismegistus taught, the universe dances to the sound of an invisible music. That music is the universal rhythm that governs everything. But here's the problem. Most people fight against it. They want to always be at their peak, always motivated, always productive, always happy. But that's impossible. Just as a pendulum swings from side to side, our emotions, energy, and even our results naturally fluctuate. Trying to resist these cycles is like trying to stop the tides from changing, a futile effort that only leads to frustration. The secret, then, isn't to fight the cycles, but to learn to use them to your advantage. Think about the great empires of history. The Roman Empire, for example, had periods of glory and periods of decline. No empire lasts forever. Financial markets also follow this rhythm. There are times of growth and times of crisis. Those who understand this oscillation know that when one cycle ends, another begins. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, taught that successful investors anticipate economic cycles. They buy assets when the market is down and sell when it's up, leveraging the natural rhythm of business. Now, bring this into your life. Have you noticed that there are moments when everything seems to go right? You're full of energy, opportunities arise, and results flow naturally. But suddenly, things start to slow down, challenges emerge, and your motivation disappears. This happens because life follows a natural rhythm, just like the ocean's tides. If you understand this law, you can use it strategically. Here are 3 ways to apply the principle of rhythm to your advantage. Take advantage of high cycles. When you're in a positive phase, build solid foundations. Invest in learning, strengthen relationships, create financial reserves. This will help you face low periods with more security. Napoleon Hill, in Think and Grow Rich, emphasized the importance of using prosperous times to create mental and material reserves. He taught that sustainable success depends on preparation during good times. Don't resist low cycles. When you're in a difficult phase, accept it as part of the process. Use this period for reflection and inner growth. Just as winter prepares the earth for spring, your challenges are preparing you for something greater. Eckhart Tolle, author of The Power of Now, explained that difficult moments are opportunities to develop wisdom and resilience. By embracing these phases, you transform suffering into strength. Anticipate the next cycle. Just as investors know when the market will change, you can learn to sense the oscillations in your life. Pay attention to patterns and adapt before the change happens. Tony Robbins, a personal development expert, teaches that recognizing emotional and energetic cycles allows you to make more conscious decisions. For example, if you know your energy dips in the afternoon, use that time for less demanding tasks. Science also supports this idea. Studies show that our biological rhythms, such as the circadian cycle, directly influence our productivity, mood, and energy. Those who understand these rhythms can better organize their time and avoid unnecessary strain. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a renowned neuroscientist, explains that aligning your activities with your body's natural rhythm improves performance and mental health. For example, exercising in the morning can boost your energy throughout the day, while setting aside the late afternoon for relaxation helps recharge your batteries. The greatest lesson of this law is everything passes. If you're in a bad phase, it won't last forever. And if you're in a good moment, enjoy it and build solid foundations for the future. As Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, said, "Life is a cycle. Those who understand the rhythm find peace." Now, if everything follows a rhythm and every action generates a reaction, an essential question arises: how do our choices shape our destiny? The answer lies in the next law, the principle of cause and effect. Chapter 6. The Principle of Cause and Effect. Nothing happens by chance. Have you ever heard the phrase, "You reap what you sow"? This idea isn't just a popular saying. It reflects one of the most powerful laws of the universe, the principle of cause and effect. This principle states that every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. Nothing happens by chance. Every situation in your life is the result of past actions, and every action you take now is shaping your future. Think about the great entrepreneurs of the world. Elon Musk, for example, didn't build Tesla and SpaceX out of thin air. Every decision he made, every hour of study, every calculated risk, was a cause that generated the effects we see today. He invested time and energy into learning about engineering, physics, and business, creating the conditions for his extraordinary achievements. Similarly, Michael Jordan, considered the greatest basketball player of all time, failed countless times. But he turned those failures into fuel to train even harder. His consistent efforts, even in the face of failure, were the causes that led to the effect of his legend in sports. Now, look at your own life. What you're experiencing today is the effect of the choices you made in the past. If you want to change your future, you need to start by changing the causes in the present. As James Allen taught, thoughts sow actions, actions sow habits. Habits sow destiny. In other words, everything begins with what you think and do on a daily basis. But here's the secret. Small actions generate big effects over time. Take the example of Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors in the world. He started investing early, even with little money. Thanks to the cumulative effect, he now has a multi-billion-dollar fortune. Similarly, a small daily habit, like reading 10 pages of a book or saving a little each month, can completely transform your life over time. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains that success isn't the result of grand heroic gestures, but of small actions repeated consistently. He calls this the power of margins. Small daily improvements can lead to extraordinary results. The question is, how can you consciously use this law to your advantage? Here are 3 powerful strategies. Be intentional in your actions. Before making a decision, ask yourself, what effect will this have on my life in the long term? Small wrong decisions add up and can lead to failure. Small right decisions create an extraordinary future. Napoleon Hill, in Think and Grow Rich, emphasized that success is the result of conscious and planned decisions. He taught that every choice should align with your larger goals. Break the cycle of negative causes. If you always act the same way, you'll get the same results. Want to change your reality? Start by changing small daily choices. For example, if you want to improve your health, begin by eliminating a harmful habit like consuming ultra-processed foods. Deepak Chopra, in the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, emphasizes that change begins with awareness. By identifying negative patterns, you can replace them with new behaviors that generate positive outcomes. Create causes aligned with your goals. If you want health, choose better foods. If you want wealth, learn about investments. If you want happiness, cultivate gratitude and good relationships. Rhonda Byrne, in The Secret, reinforces that our actions are like seeds planted in the field of life. When you plant seeds of prosperity, love, and growth, you harvest corresponding fruits. This means your daily choices must align with the future you want to create. Physics also explains this principle. Newton's 3rd law states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The universe works this way at all levels. What you put out into the world gives back to you. Florence Scovel Shinn, author of The Game of Life and How to Play It, taught that life is a perfect mirror. When you act with kindness, you receive kindness. When you act with fear or selfishness, you attract negative results. And now, a final question arises. If every action generates an effect, how do we balance these forces within ourselves? How do we align the masculine and feminine, the rational and the intuitive? The answer lies in the next and final law, the principle of gender. Chapter 7. The Principle of Gender, the balance between the forces of creation. Since ancient times, humanity has recognized the existence of 2 opposing yet complementary forces, the masculine and the feminine, yin and yang, logic and intuition, the active and the receptive. These energies are not merely biological or cultural characteristics, but universal principles that permeate everything that exists. The principle of gender states that gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. This means that all things in the universe possess an active, masculine energy and a receptive, feminine energy, and the harmony between these forces is essential for the balance of life. But don't confuse this with gender in the physical or social sense. This law goes beyond that. The masculine and the feminine exist within each of us, regardless of sex or gender identity. And learning to balance these energies is the key to unlocking our true potential. As Hermes Trismegistus taught, as above, so below. This principle reflects the duality present in all dimensions of existence, from the macrocosm to the microcosm. Masculine and feminine energy in life and success. Think about the great geniuses of history. Leonardo da Vinci combined mathematical logic, masculine energy, with artistic creativity, feminine energy. He was both a scientist and an artist, demonstrating that the balance between these forces can generate innovative masterpieces. Similarly, Albert Einstein said that his intuition, feminine energy, was as important as his analytical ability, masculine energy, for his discoveries. He claimed that many of his ideas arose not only from logical reasoning, but also from moments of intuitive inspiration. The same happens in the business world. Steve Jobs was a master at blending strategic thinking, masculine, with aesthetic and intuitive sensitivity, feminine, creating products that were not only functional, but also inspiring. He knew that technology needed to be practical, but also beautiful and emotionally connected to the user. This combination of energies made Apple one of the most influential companies in the world. When one of these energies is out of balance, problems arise. Excess masculine energy. If a person lives solely in logic, action, and competitiveness, they can become rigid, impatient, and insensitive. They may achieve much, but without finding real satisfaction. An example of this is overworking without pausing for reflection or emotional connection, leading to burnout and a lack of purpose. Excess feminine energy. If a person lives solely in intuition, emotion, and receptivity, they can become too passive, procrastinating, and waiting for things to happen without taking action. For instance, someone who dreams of great achievements but never takes the first step remains trapped in a cycle of inaction. The secret lies in balance. When we balance these forces within ourselves, we become conscious creators of our reality. As Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, taught, the integration of opposites is the path to wholeness. He explained that the union of masculine and feminine energies, represented by the animus and anima, is essential for personal and spiritual development. How to apply the principle of gender in life. Cultivate both action and receptivity. Make decisions based on reason, but listen to your intuition. Be strategic, but also creative. For example, when facing a challenge, use logic to plan solutions, but allow your intuition to guide your final choices. Neville Goddard, one of the great masters of New Thought, taught that imagination, feminine, and will, masculine, are the two forces that shape reality. Practice introspection and execution. Take time to reflect, meditate, and visualize your goals, feminine, but also take action, set goals, and meet deadlines, masculine. Deepak Chopra, in The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, emphasizes that meditation and action are equally important. Meditation connects you to the universal flow, while action brings your intentions into the physical world. Harness the power of balance. Great leaders, artists, and entrepreneurs understand that they need both the strength of determination and the fluidity of adaptability. For example, Richard Branson, founder of Virgin Group, is known for his leadership style that combines strategic vision, masculine, with empathy and flexibility, feminine. He knows when to act quickly and when to listen to his team. Nature gives us the greatest example of this principle. The sun, masculine energy, warms and gives life, but it is the earth, feminine energy, that nurtures and makes things grow. The entire universe is built on this interplay of forces, and when we learn to use them consciously, we create a fuller and more balanced reality. Now that you know the 7 universal laws, a final question arises. How do you apply them all together to transform your life? The answer lies in understanding that these laws are not isolated, but interconnected. They form a complete system that governs reality. When you align your mind, mentalism, accept opposites, polarity, respect cycles, rhythm, act with intention, cause and effect, vibrate at the right frequency, vibration, seek internal and external correspondence, and balance. Your energies, gender. You become a conscious co-creator of the universe. The power lies in applying the 7 laws daily and transforming your life. Now that you know them, everything begins to make sense. You realize that nothing happens by chance, that your reality is not fixed, and that the universe operates according to principles that have always been at work, whether you understand them or not. These laws are like an invisible map that guides all things, from the movement of the stars to the cycles of your personal life. The big difference between those who thrive and those trapped in cycles of frustration isn't luck, talent, or circumstances. It's the knowledge and conscious application of these laws. Successful people don't have superpowers. They've simply learned to navigate universal currents instead of fighting against them. If you ignore them, you'll continue living on autopilot, reacting to situations instead of consciously creating your reality. But if you choose to apply them, you can completely transform your life. And here's the most important point. All these laws are interconnected. When you understand that everything is mentalism, you realize that your reality begins in your mind. Your thoughts are the building blocks of your life experience. When you grasp that your external world reflects your internal world, you start changing your beliefs to transform your life. As James Allen taught, you are today where your thoughts have brought you. By recognizing that everything vibrates at different frequencies, vibration, you learn to raise your energy to attract better experiences. Remember Masaru Emoto's water molecule experiment. Your emotions shape your reality. When you understand that opposites are extremes of the same thing, polarity, you realize you can consciously change any emotional state. Turn fear into courage, sadness into happiness, failure into learning. By accepting that life follows natural cycles, rhythm, you learn to use each phase to your advantage without resistance. Just as winter prepares the earth for spring, your difficult moments are creating the foundation for new growth. When you embrace that every action generates a reaction, cause and effect, you become more responsible for your choices. Every small decision, from words to habits, has the power to alter your destiny. And finally, by balancing masculine and feminine energies within yourself, gender, you unlock your true creative potential. The harmony between action and receptivity, logic and intuition, strategy and adaptability is the secret of great leaders and visionaries. This isn't magic. It's a deep understanding of how the universe works. Humanity's greatest masters have always known this. Napoleon Hill, Tesla, Da Vinci, Einstein, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, they all used these laws, consciously or unconsciously. They understood that the universe responds to our intentions, emotions, and actions. Now, you have this knowledge in your hands. The question is, what are you going to do with it? You can ignore it and keep living as you always have. Or you can apply it and start consciously shaping your reality. The choice is yours. But remember, the universe is always responding. It doesn't judge. It simply reflects what you send through your thoughts, emotions, and actions. So, what are you going to create from now on? Will it be a life of purpose, abundance, and balance? Or will you continue leaving your reality to chance? The decision is yours, but know that by applying these laws, you're taking control of your journey. Thank you for making it this far. Without a doubt, you've already taken the first step toward your transformation. We've left a special gift in the pinned comment or video description. If this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and like this video. Hit the notification bell to receive more transformative content like this. Remember, nothing happens by chance. You control your destiny and you can change your reality. Use that power and transform your life into something extraordinary.